winning the league, winning the cup, doing the double, doing the treble, doing the Invincible treble. What is the greatest achievement in football history? You could say Leicester City winning the Premier League back in 2016. Say Real Madrid winning the Champions League 3 years in a row. Many in Scotland or Ireland may say Celtic doing the quadruple treble. In the history of European football, an invincible treble of any kind featuring a European trophy has never been achieved. The closest we ever came was actually very close back in 1995. This featured the famous Ajax team with players which you would know off the top of your head, such as Edgar Davids, Frank de Boer, Edwin van der Sar, Frank Rijkaard, Clarence Seedorf, Mark Overmars, Jari Litmanen, Patrick Kluivert, Louis van Gaal, just to name a few. 49 games played, 37 wins, 11 draws, and only 1 loss in every single competition. That only loss being in the Dutch Cup, losing to Feyenoord in the quarterfinals. In that same season, they won the league by 7 points, and most importantly, won not the Europa League or the UEFA Cup back in those days, but the Champions League, knocking out in the process Bayern Munich and beating AC Milan 1-0 in the finals. However, people do like to say that because it's only in the Eredivisie, the standards may not be as impressive to if you did it in, let's say, the Italian league at a time period. Back in the 90s, the toughest league in European football was the Serie A or La Liga. Today's video is about Bayer Leverkusen, and I've seen many people do videos about Bayern Munich being broken, and I was thinking about doing that. However, I think Bayer Leverkusen deserves their flowers much more than talking about how poor Bayern Munich have been. And in reality, they've not been that poor. They just haven't won the league for once. They're still in a Champions League semi-final and are still second. Bayer Leverkusen have officially won the Bundesliga, and we could go into that as much as we need to. However, they are still in the semi-finals of the Europa League and in the final of the DFB Pokal. However, the most important thing is they have not lost a single game in any competition, and we are now almost in May. I held back on doing this video because I was waiting until the Dortmund away game, and after a 97th minute equalizer, they managed to still keep their unbeaten streak going. And after seeing that, it only feels inevitable that this could be done. On paper, Bayer Leverkusen still has to play Roma, home and away, but the away game is the key, most toughest one. And in the league, realistically, it's only Eintracht Frankfurt that can potentially hold a shock here. And of course, whoever they face in the final of the Europa League, which is either going to be between Marseille or Atalanta if they make it through. A lot of debate online, specifically involving Leicester fans, who defends that their achievement of winning the league is the greatest achievement ever. And that, of course, is a fantastic achievement, and for me, is the greatest in Premier League history. However, if you do an invincible treble of any kind involving a European competition, I would say that trumps it. Don't forget one thing as well. Bayer Leverkusen has only ever won 2 major trophies in their entire history. They've never won the league in the entirety of their history in German football. Historically, Bayer Leverkusen has always been known as the nearly club in almost every aspect. This was widely known back in 2002 as the greatest example, because the same thing happened back in 2002. Not it being invincible, but the treble, the actual treble, as some may say. One of the most unfortunate seasons in football history also happened to Bayer Leverkusen, where they were in the final of the Cup, the final of the Champions League, and was on the final day to win the Bundesliga. With 4 games left, they had more than good enough reason to go and win the treble, and in the end, they won none. The penultimate game of the season against Nuremberg, with a 1-0 loss away from home, and this was a game that took the title away from them. Despite a win at home to Hertha on the final day, it still was not enough. Alongside that, they had the DFB Pokal facing Schalke in the final and losing 4-2, and then of course the Champions League, knocking out Liverpool and Manchester United in the process, facing none other but Real Madrid in the final. And that famous Zidane volley is the game that ended all their hopes and dreams. 4 games to win the treble and coming out with not a single trophy is a true catastrophe. So that's the backstory. That's the context behind this video. What's actually happened? Well, you can just say 2 words, which is Xabi Alonso, but I feel like that's not enough depth to actually go into it. Neverkusen is the phrase that gets thrown around in German football of almost an insult to Bayer Leverkusen. That they will never succeed and they will always fail when the going gets tough. Winning the Bundesliga with about 5 or 6 games spare, smashing Werder Bremen, who they actually lost at home, which ended up collapsing their campaign, is quite poetic in a way. By no means am I a tactician or I'm a tactical football. I don't pretend to be. So I'm not going to go in detail on how Leverkusen plays and how Xabi Alonso sets his team up. If you want that, I'm going to leave a link down below to a great video on YouTube which goes in depth into this. And there's tons of them, by the way. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not going to pretend to be. It was rather interesting to see his moves in the transfer market, as the squad already had a collection of undeniably talented players, but was vastly underachieving. The likes of Jeremy Frimpong, Florian Wirtz, for example, was already there. However, never really had the cohesion together as a group to actually all go in one direction. As discussed on The Athletic, when he first joined, there was certain cliques in the squad of players that speaks in different languages. Many could be in French, many could be in Spanish and German, and so on and so forth. So the most key thing is to actually make the group feel like a team. They already had quite a lot of young players that just needs that helping hand, and with that comes experience. So therefore the signings of Granit Xhaka, Jonas Hoffmann and Alex Grimaldo, all above 26, 27, which is actually quite a rarity for Bayer Leverkusen. They typically always sign young players to develop. So signing players that are in touching their 30s is quite odd compared to what they previously are known to do. Including in those signings were also Victor Boniface. That is a huge piece of business for them, who a striker that's brought in multiple goals this year, and Nathan Tella as well, which has the energy and versatility which is absolutely necessary to add in all competitions. And for all these 5 players was £59 million. If Bayer Leverkusen completes the Invincible treble, would that be the greatest achievement in football history? You tell me down below. I do have one key concern, and after the thoughts of Xabi Alonso, it does fill me with a lot of confidence that typically from clubs outside of the Premier League, when they have an incredible season, their players seem to always get poached rather fast. So with Alonso confirming that he will be staying at Bayer Leverkusen, I actually really like that because I understand the frustration of many people outside of England that sees the Premier League just completely taking every single aspect of every league because of the money that's in our game. And that means that I would love to see the likes of Boniface, Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong and the likes stay at Leverkusen for next season, just because I like to see a bit more of a dynasty for a club and not just see it ripped apart instantly. 5,000 to 1 is the odds that Leicester famously won the Premier League with. Well, what if you were to put the treble odds for Bayer Leverkusen at the start of the season? Well, the odds of them winning the Bundesliga, DFB Pokal and also the Upper League, if you were to put an acca on that at the start of the season, then it would be 18,000 to 1. Again, I don't want to disregard the incredible achievement of Leicester City, as that is, again, insanity, and I don't think will be seen ever again in Premier League in that, nowhere near in that fashion. We may get one day a team like Aston Villa or Newcastle in a decade or whatever, maybe win the Premier League. That's outside top 6, but you're never going to see a team like Burnley go and win the Premier League, are you? And that's insane. Tell me your thoughts down below on what is the greatest ever football achievement. And I really hope I don't jinx this and they lose instantly to Stuttgart or something. That would be a shame. This is the greatest challenge you guys now have, okay? If somehow Leverkusen beats my jinx, then there's no going back. Enjoy your day, boys.